What if each and every XRP token had the same value as gold? Information being leaked by insiders of the Bank for International Settlements, also known as the Central Bank of Central Banks, has the potential to fundamentally alter the global financial system. These sources claim that a covert effort is in progress to combine XRP, the most sophisticated digital liquidity bridge yet developed, with gold, the most reliable store of value in human history. This is no longer just conjecture. With XRP at its core, an ecosystem of digital assets backed by gold is emerging to replace the speculative cryptocurrency era, which may be coming to an end very soon. We must begin at the top in order to fully comprehend the scope of this change. The Bank for International Settlements, or BIS, has been subtly directing the shift towards tokenized financial systems behind the grey walls of its Basel headquarters. Project Helvetia, an experimental partnership between the Swiss National Bank, the BIS Innovation Hub, and a number of private financial institutions, is the official name of this venture. Now consider what might occur if these tokenized assets were more than simply hypothetical. Imagine digital representations of gold bars, the same ones that are kept in safes like Fort Knox or the Bank of England, on a blockchain that can instantly transfer value between countries. That's where XRP comes into play. Unlike the majority of cryptocurrencies, XRP was created to transfer money, not to compete with it. With an integrated decentralized exchange and, to be honest, almost low transaction costs, its ledger, the XRP ledger or XRPL, was created from the ground up to facilitate the tokenization of real-world assets. According to rumors, the XRPL has been investigated by international organizations and central banks as a potential framework for this tokenized gold system. Some insiders have even begun to refer to it as Fort Knox on the ledger, a worldwide network of gold settlements where every bar of real gold would have a digital counterpart on the XRP ledger. Previously taking days or weeks, transactions can now be finished in a matter of seconds. Imagine being able to transfer billions of dollars worth of gold-backed value across continents with the same simplicity as sending an email. The ramifications are profound, as fiat currencies supported by trust, or more precisely, debt, have dominated international finance for more than a century. Prior to the United States closing the gold window in 1971, gold served as the cornerstone of the world monetary system. Since then, inflation has eroded savings globally, debt levels have skyrocketed, and money printing has become the norm. But what would happen if that trust were to break down? What if the next generation of money is fueled by the speed and transparency of contemporary blockchain technology and returns to something tangible and verifiable? That's exactly what an XRP backed by gold might provide. Let's speak about numbers now. The world's total above-ground gold supply is believed to be approximately 210,000 metric tons, which is shocking the cryptocurrency community. That amounts to over $15 trillion in gold at current prices. However, only around half of the approximately 100 billion XRP tokens in circulation are actually in use by the general public. Depending on how you figure out backing ratios and reserve commitments, dividing the total gold value by the entire quantity of XRP would yield an astounding 150,000 to 500,000 USD per token. It's not a forecast. Although it's a theoretical model, insiders are discussing it as a possible foundation for asset-backed liquidity schemes. Although no one is predicting that all XRP will suddenly become worth $500,000 overnight, even a partial backing might cause prices to soar if central banks start using XRP or the XRPL as the settlement layer for tokenized gold. Because XRP ceases to be a speculative asset in that situation. Why Daisigan Induracoma Denesa? It becomes intermonetary infrastructure, and infrastructure is based on function, utility, and trust rather than hype. This action would also address volatility, one of the main issues facing digital currencies. With centuries of demonstrated value retention, gold has a stable historical record. Governments may successfully eradicate the erratic price fluctuations that render the majority of cryptocurrencies unsuitable for large-scale transactions by tying XRP to gold reserves. It's a hybrid concept with physical security supporting digital liquidity. The outcome: the first fully worldwide inflation hedge that functions in the real world as well as online. Consider the operation of the current system. Central banks employ tools like SWIFT to settle international payments and retain reserves: gold, dollars, euros, and bonds. That procedure is very centralized, expensive, and sluggish. The blueprint for a new Bretton Woods moment, a digital gold standard for the 21st century, is already available thanks to Ripple's technology, which allows similar cross-border settlements using XRP as a bridge asset. Now imagine replacing all of that with a distributed, programmable, instant settlement network where gold-backed tokens move freely between institutions. And this isn't just some unrealistic dream. For years, nations like China and Russia have been gradually growing their gold holdings in anticipation of the dollar-based system's demise. The BRICS countries are candidly debating alternatives to the currency in global trade. Through partnerships and test programs, Ripple has already integrated its infrastructure with dozens of central banks, making it a potential neutral bridge for this new multipolar financial system. Institutions in the West are beginning to pay attention. Reports on the tokenization of reserves have been released by the World Bank, the BIS, and the International Monetary Fund. The finished role of the Finder's Future is set to host Project M-Bridge, another BIS project involving Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and China, be utilizing tokenized central bank reserves to test cross-border settlements. These initiatives gradually converge towards a unified, interoperable network for tokenized assets, ranging from fiat to commodities, if you look closely at the connections between them. The XRPL is one of the only systems that can function at that level because to its proven scalability and compliance-ready architecture. Imagine this happening in real time. Debt ceilings are being broken, inflation is still rising, and fiat currency confidence is steadily declining. Investors and governments start requesting more robust real-backed assets. In response, central banks have announced that XRP will be at the center of digital settlement layers that are backed by gold. Trillions of dollars worth of liquidity might enter the system overnight, repricing digital assets and changing the fundamental characteristics of money. This could be referred to as a conspiracy hypothesis by detractors. However, keep in mind that the notion of central banks utilizing blockchain technology was dismissed only a few years ago. More than 130 nations are currently creating or testing digital currencies. Real-world asset tokenization is currently one of the financial industries with the quickest rate of growth. Tokenization platforms are being developed by major banks, including JP Morgan, Citibank, and BlackRock. With its 10-year lead and direct institutional integration, XRP may already be the infrastructure of choice. The question is not whether it will happen, but rather who will drive it. Should this happen, XRP would be more than just digital gold, it would be the nervous system of digital gold. The XRPL could facilitate every settlement, transaction, and movement of tokenized bullion, recording them all irrevocably and enabling rapid verification. Reserves could be held and transferred by central banks with unprecedented transparency. For the first time, fractional gold positions were available to retail investors in a form that is internationally recognized, liquid, and transferable. That has a tremendous amount of symbolic power. Gold has stood for wealth preservation, security, and sovereignty for thousands of years. Humanity would be bringing together the past and the future of money by combining it with the XRP ledger, the most effective financial network ever created. The newest mode of trade meets the oldest store of value. Additionally, once this shift takes place, XRP's worth may be reassessed as a strategic worldwide reserve asset rather than a speculative coin. A speculative valuation of $500,000 doesn't seem outlandish at that point. It seems like the sensible conclusion of a system intended to harmonize global liquidity. The underlying concept, real assets on blockchain, quick settlement, and global scale, is beginning to take hold, regardless of whether central banks ever openly declare gold-backed XRP. In actuality, the world is on the verge of a monetary crisis, the debt-based economy is collapsing, and people are becoming less trusting of governments and fiat money. History demonstrates that gold always finds its way back to the center when confidence in paper money wanes. This time it won't return as bars or coins, but rather as code that is decentralized, auditable, and immutable. Ledgers and consensus will serve as the basis instead of vaults and locks. Thus, keep this in mind the next time you hear someone write off XRP as just another cryptocurrency. The world's most powerful financial institutions are testing ways to completely reconstruct the monetary system behind closed doors. Additionally,